students. I'm Gauri, Department of Economics from Villamari Junior College for Girls from Antigua. In last class, I have explained the national income, trends in the growth of national income, and sectoral contribution to national income, which all were for 2 marks, and one major topic, that is inequalities of income and wealth, which was for 10 marks. In today's class, let me talk about what is poverty, what are the types of poverty, and what are the various causes of poverty. With the help of this picture, we can clearly see that what is poverty. We consider that as a social phenomenon where sections of the society are not able to fulfill the basic needs of their life. That is basic food, clothing, and shelter. That is defined as poverty, which is for 2 marks. The next topic we have is what are the 2 types of poverty? The types of poverty, we have absolute poverty, and the next one is relative poverty. What is absolute poverty? We consider that to be a situation where the expenditures and the income, definitely when incomes are low, the expenditures are also low. They are so low that they live below the minimum subsistence level. You need to say it is that situation where income and expenditures are so meager, so less that they live below the minimum subsistence level. This has been analyzed by Indian Council of Medical Research. They have measured in terms of physical quantities, that is the food that we should consume it. The food that we consume should provide us 2,400 calories that per person per day in rural areas, and the food that we consume should provide 2,100 calories per person per day in urban areas. This is absolute poverty. The next one is relative poverty. This refers to inequalities of income, wealth, land distribution, household. And in all these areas, you find lot of difference between the income and the wealth of these people, the standard of living of the people. That is a glaring difference between the top 10% or 5 to 10% of the rich people with the bottom 5 to 10% of the population. In this regard, I want to give an example. India is occupying most prominent place in the international business magazine, the Forbes magazine. Indians are among the top 10 rich people, and also India is a country where maximum of the people are below the poverty line. Most of the people are below the poverty line. So the relative poverty shows the glaring difference between the inequalities of income and wealth. The next one we have is incidence of poverty. Now this has been analyzed. The Planning Commission has estimated the incidence of poverty based on the consumption that we are per person per month in both in rural areas as well as in urban areas. According to 1973-74 prices, in rural areas per month, if a person is able to spend per month rupees 49 rupees 63 paise, if they are able to spend, they are above. And in case if they're not able to spend this much amount per person, then they are below the poverty line. Whereas in urban areas, it is rupees 56.64%, 56.64, then it is above the poverty line. If they're not able to spend this much amount, then they are below the poverty line. Let us have a look at the Rangarajan panel. What is the recommendation? What is the opinion that this panel has given? They have made an analytical study based on 2011-12 prices, and they said according to this panel, the people who are able to spend rupees 972 in the rural areas, they are above the poverty line, if not below that. Likewise, in urban areas, it is rupees 1,407, then they are above the poverty line. and other way they are below the poverty line. According to the Rangarajan Committee, the consumption expenditure, here they are considering a family of 5 members per month and per day, both in rural areas as well as in urban areas. In rural areas, it is 4,860, that comes to 32 rupees per day. And in urban areas, that is 7,035 per month, which comes to 47 per day. That is according to the Rangarajan Committee. According to Tendulkar methodology, it is rupees 816, that is per day in rural area, 816 per month in rural areas and 27 per day in the rural areas. 1,000 rupees, 1,000 in urban areas, and if it is considered to be per day, it is 33 rupees. If the people are not able to spend this much amount for their nutritious food, for their health, for basic for themselves, then they are below the poverty line, what we consider them as absolute poverty. The next one is poverty gap. How do we define? This is again a 2-mark question, which is referred to as the distance from the poverty line to the consumption or expenditure of the poor in every state to the national poverty line. How it is calculated? It is calculated as poverty gap is equal to poverty line minus average consumption of the poor by the poverty line. So the poverty line what the government is setting up with the average consumption what we are having it, there's a glaring difference. The gap is huge and that is leading to the poverty. So here we consider G is equal to Z minus Y by Z. G is poverty gap, Z is poverty line, Y is average consumption of the poor, and Z by Z is poverty line. The next one we have is what causes contribute to the poverty. These are some of the causes which are contributing to the poverty, which is causing poverty. Let us look at the causes that is contributing. Concentration of economic power, under exploitation of natural resources, heavy population pressure, unemployment, poor education, low availability of essential, inflation, low technology, capital deficiency, failure of 5-year plans, LPG model, and social factors. Let us look at every cause that is contributing to the poverty. Concentration of economic power. The wealth of our country is not equally distributed among all the people in our country. The rich are becoming rich and the poor is becoming poor. With every stage of economic development, we are finding this gap is enlarging it between the rich and the poor because the wealth is concentrated in the hands of few people. The next one is under exploitation of natural resources. How this will reduce the poverty or how this is contributing to the poverty. The production cannot be, the production is not possible without we exploiting the natural resources. But why are we not able to exploit them? There are multiple reasons why we are not able to exploit our natural resources. It could be because of the lack of technical knowledge, or we're not able to know the potentialities of the resources, nor because of absence of skills and efficiency. What reasons are contributing to poverty? Let us have a look at the causes that are leading to poverty. They are concentration of economic power, under exploitation of natural resources, heavy population pressure, unemployment, poor education, low availability of essentials, inflation, low technology, capital deficiency, failure of 5-year plans, LPG model, and social factors. Let us understand each cause, how it is leading to poverty. The first and the foremost one, concentration of economic power. How this is leading to poverty? The wealth of our economy or the wealth in our country is not equally distributed among all the sections of the society. Some of them are having the concentration of wealth is in the hands of few people. So with every stage of economic development, the rich are becoming rich and the poor are becoming poorer day after day. This is because the wealth, the houses, the land, all these are not equally distributed among the people in our society. The second one, under exploitation of natural resources. This is how this is contributing, causing poverty. The production is not possible without we exploit the natural resources. Natural resources provides us the raw materials which is converted into the final products. So unless and until we exploit, and what are things we require for our natural to exploit natural resources? We require knowledge, we require technology, we require efficiency. All this together makes us to exploit our resources so that we channelize them into production. And when we are channelizing into production, in this process, we are able to create employment opportunities and able to increase the income levels and thus reduce the poverty. But in case if we're not able to exploit our resources, it is again causing poor conditions. The next one is heavy population pressure. India is in the second stage of demographic transition where we have high birth rates and low death rates. The birth rate stands to be the same. With all the efforts the government has taken, we could reduce the death rate. And when we talk about how much population of the world India is supporting, India almost supports 17.51% of the world's population in just 2.4% of the total land area of the world, and with only 2.1 share of the world's income. So with this pressure, we are not able to create more measures to reduce the poverty. The next one is unemployment. Unemployment, poverty, population, they go hand in hand. If one is high, the other is again high. Unemployment, where the people are not able to get the jobs, even after they possessing all the qualities, they're still unemployed. The next one is poor education. We emphasize on quality education, or education that can create livelihood. This kind of education need to be developed in all areas and that should be accessible to each and every person. Then they can create their own livelihood. If that is happening it, then we can reduce poverty. If that is not happening it, we are not able, we are creating that standing one of the major cause of poverty. Low availability of essentials. Even today, even in this present world, we still have people who are not able to get the basic minimum facilities, food, clothing, shelter, minimum quality education, health, sanitation. These are the basic essentials which are not reaching to the most of the people in our country. How does inflation cause poverty? This is again one more question we need to understand. Increase in the prices that reduces the purchasing power of the poor people. Just take today's example. The price of petrol has touched 90 rupees. The purchasing power of the poor people still reduces. The gap is increasing between the rich and the poor. And this again causing poverty conditions. Low technology always leads to low development of the economy. Now, when I talk about technology over here, it is not only in terms of machinery, even the methodology that we are following either in agriculture or in industries need to be upgraded. So technology always upgrades the methodology and also the use of modern machineries. That will create more employment opportunities. But if low technology, I do not say more some sectors. I do not take. I cannot say for all the sectors. Some sectors we still have the low technology. The next one is capital deficiency. Some percentage of our national income channelizes into capital formation, and in case if we're not able to do that, as the population is increasing, as the economic activities are increasing, the percentage of national income for channelizing the capital formation should also increase. And if that is not happening, we may not be able to increase the industrial production. We may not be able to bring the technological changes and infrastructural development in our economy. The next one is failure of 5-year plans. In this 11 5 years, from 1951 to the present, we have completed 11 5-year plans. And one of the major objectives in 1951, when we have set the first 5-year plan, removal of poverty. Removal of poverty could be a distant dream, but at least we should able to reduce the poverty. And today, one of the major failure of our planning is we're not able to reduce the extent or incidence of poverty. LPG, what is this LPG? Liberalization, privatization, and globalization. This is an economic reform introduced in 1990s to empower the private, to develop the industrial development in an economy, concentrating in the private sector. This LPG model, to certain, when we see the negative aspect of this particular one, on the darker side of this particular one, it has increased the inequalities of income and wealth, because they could not achieve the level of employment as they have targeted. So the darker side of LPG have little created unemployment and poverty conditions in our country. The social factors, the beliefs, the superstitious sentiments, the religious sentiments today are contributing the major problems in our economy. Either you say population, either you say poverty, or any other social unrest. All this are created with our mindset. We need to upgrade with our mindset with the changing situations. If the same thing is continuing, what problems it is causing in our country? What are the consequences of poverty in our country? Consequences are unequal opportunities, concentration of economic power, inefficiency, society, education, income inequalities and insecurity, malnutrition, health, problems of unemployment. If poverty is increasing, if we're not able to reduce, that still will increase the unequal opportunities. The opportunities should be provided equally to all the people, but if major consequence of poverty is it will lead to unequal opportunities in all the segments in the society. Concentration of economic power, it will lead more concentration of economic power in the hands of few people, which is again going to widen the gap between the rich and the poor. A person continuously not finding a job, that will, it will lead to inefficiency, and that is again one of the major drawbacks of poverty. Problems of unemployment, a person after possessing the qualifications and the willing to work and able to work but not able to find, it leads to the unemployment level. Society, that will disturb the smoothness, the smooth functioning of the society. That may lead to some unrest in the society, which may create some problems in our economy. Malnutrition and health. It will definitely affect the quality of the health system in our country. The proper health and for proper nutritional food may not be reaching to all the people. That is major effect of poverty. It will lead to inequalities and insecurity among the people and effects on the quality education. These are the consequences of the poverty. Next topic we have is unemployment. What is unemployment? What are the different types of unemployment? What are the causes of unemployment? So when we see this particular one, we see that unemployment is defined as involuntary idleness. That is, a person possesses the qualifications and also willing to work. We define as a person who possesses able to work and willing to work but not able to find a job. That is defined as unemployment situation in the economy. There are different kinds of poverty. To name few: structural, frictional, cyclical, voluntary, seasonal, technological, disguised, and chronic unemployment. Let us see one after the other. What is structural unemployment? What is disguised unemployment? What is frictional, cyclical, seasonal? And let me talk about disguised unemployment. This generally you find in an agriculture sector where more people are working than required. Extra people, surplus people, or more people are working than required because they are not able to find any alternative employment opportunities. So more people are working than required. That is disguised unemployment. And the most important drawback is the marginal productivity in disguised unemployment is zero. That means that generally when the common tendency is if you employ more number of people, that increases the production. But here the marginal productivity remains zero. That is additional labor, contribution from the additional labor is zero. There is no extra contribution from the extra labor. The next one is seasonal unemployment. This is again basically in the agriculture sector. Agriculture activities takes place. It is based on the monsoons or the rainfall, and during the off season, the agriculture activities, it is slightly difficult to take on, and that may lead to seasonal unemployment. The next one is frictional unemployment. That is a person moving from the old job to the new job. That is again, we need to again get into the same category. That is again frictional unemployment. Underemployment, when the services of a person is not being exploited to the best of their extent, that is underemployment. The next one is technological unemployment, that is machinery replacing the manpower. But here, this will create unemployment in the short period, but this will create employment in the long run because anytime the technological development will increase the production and that creates more employment opportunities. Cyclical, the fluctuations in an economy, you have ups and downs in the economy, and whenever we have the boom period, it creates more employment. Whenever there's a depression, that will displace the existing people. That increases the rate of unemployment situation in the economy. Concept of unemployment. A standard employment is considered a person is employed when he or she or when they are able to get a job which is occupying for 8 hours a day. This is how we calculate 8 hours a day, 273 days in a year. Then we call that is to be the employed person. The Committee on Experts on Unemployment, according to the estimate, the Planning Commission has given 3 estimates according to the 27th round of NSS, that is chronic unemployment, weekly status unemployment, the daily status unemployment. In the chronic unemployment, we have that is usual principal status employment where persons remain unemployed for a major part of the year. In other way, we can say it is open unemployment. According to the weekly status unemployment, when the number of workers who do not find even an hour of work during the survey week, we consider that to be weekly status unemployment. Daily status unemployment, that is number of persons who do not find work on a day or some days during the survey week, it is considered to be the daily status unemployment. Let us see the extent of these kind of unemployment. How are they? Between 1977 to 1994, all the categories, that is current status, daily status and weekly status unemployment, which is have a look at this. According to the current daily status unemployment, it was 8.18% in 1977, which has come down to 5.6% according to 2011. According to the UPS, that is from 1977 to 1994, which was 2.56%, and in 2012 it is 2.7%. According to current daily status employment in urban areas and in the rural areas. In urban it was 7.43 and rural it is 5.63, that is in 1993. And in 2004 it is 8.28 in urban areas and 8.28 in the rural areas. This is what we find with urban and rural areas.